Good morning. Good morning. I think I'm live on YouTube this morning and Facebook. I'm now live too. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. The day after the Super Bowl Monday. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Tony Taylor, and I'm going to be sharing my devotion with you and lift prayer concerns up so we may pray for each other and to share gratitude. Good morning, Loney. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Alan and Jean Wilkie. So glad you're here and praying for you. Your family pictures were really, the photographer did a good job for you. Good morning, Betty. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Kevin. So glad you're here and praying for you. I'm trying to get the basement warmed up down here. You may see me wiggle in the blanket I've got around my legs. I'm so glad to be with you today, February the 8th. And I've got a little something to share. Sometimes there's some history in here. I'm reading from the Book of Common Prayer, A Liturgy for Ordinary Radicals. And on February the 8th in 1887, the Dawes Act was approved by the United States Congress, dividing the Native American reservations lands into separate properties to be owned and maintained by individuals. Tribes were to be dissolved and Native Americans were expected to assimilate into the white culture. Most of the land granted to the Native Americans were desert, unable to sustain any agriculture. O Lord, let my soul rise up to meet you as the day rises to meet the sun. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. Come, let us bow down and bend the knee. Let us kneel before the Lord, our Maker. Forgive us, Lord, for stealing the land. Have mercy and set us free. Forgive us, Lord, for stealing the land. Have mercy and set us free. The psalm today is Psalm 39, 5 through 8. Lord, let me know my end and the number of my days, so that I may know how short my life is. You have given me a mere handful of days, and my lifetime is as nothing in your sight. Truly, even those who stand erect are but a puff of wind. We walk about like a shadow, and in vain we are in turmoil. We heap up riches and cannot tell how we will gather them. And now, what is my hope? O Lord, my hope is in you. Forgive us, Lord, for stealing the land. Have mercy and set us free. Forgive us, Lord, for stealing the land. Have mercy and set us free. In Seattle, the chief of the Suquamish, I think that's how you say it, Suquamish, said, "We know that the white man does not understand our ways. One portion of the land is the same to him as the next. He is a stranger who comes in the night and takes from the land whatever he needs. The earth is not his brother, but his enemy. And when he has conquered it, he moves on." That's from a quote from Suquamish, Seattle chief. Suquamish. It pretty much captures it, doesn't it? The Native Americans had such a love for this land. I wonder what it would have been like if they had populated everything and we had not come over here. I wonder what this country would be like with just Native Americans on it. Today we're going to read in Genesis 27, 1 through 29. And this is a continuation of where we were with Rebecca, and she had the two twins, Jacob and Esau. And this is trying to get Jacob's blessing. And I'm going to read 1 through 29. When Jacob was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son, here I am." he answered. Isaac said, I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your weapons, your quiver and bow, and go out into the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty fowl I like and bring it to me to eat, so that I might give you my blessing before I die. Now, it was commonplace for older people to lose their sight. I mean, I can't imagine what my eyes would be like at Jacob's age without any contacts or glasses. So it was very common for the old people to not be able to see very well. So he sends Esau out to bring him some game. And now Rebekah was listening. And by this, I mean Rebekah was eavesdropping. She was eavesdropping. And as he spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, now she's told us that that's her favorite. Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat so that I might give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die. Now, my son, listen carefully to what I tell you to do. Go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats so that I can prepare some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat so that he may give you his blessing before he dies. Now, Esau is the older, so we're going to see what happens here. Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, but my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I'm a man with smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing. His mother said to him, my son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say and go and get them for me. So she's very adamant. She's willing to take the curse. So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son, Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with goat skins. Then she handed to her son, Jacob, the tasty food and the bread she had made. So he went to his father and said, my father. Yes, my son, he answered. Who is it? Jacob said to his father, I'm Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you have told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing. So Isaac asked his son, how did you find it so quickly, my son? The Lord your God gave me instructions, he replied. Oh, gave me success. Then Isaac said to Jacob, come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not. Now, there had to have been some reason for him to doubt and to tell his son to come closer so that he could tell the difference. There must have been something, he must have been thinking about this. So Jacob went close to his father, Isaac, who touched him and said, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he blessed him. Are you really my son Esau? He asked. I am, he replied. Then he said, my son, bring me some of your game to eat so that I may give you my blessing. Jacob brought it to him and he ate. And he brought some wine and he drank. And then his father Isaac said to him, come here, my son, and kiss me. So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him out loud. So smelling Esau's clothes was the final piece that he needed to be assured he had the right son. Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of heaven's dew and of earth's richness and abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you, but Lord, be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. That's where we're going to stop today. What a great, great story of trickery, of Jacob listening to his mother to betray his dad just openly. He didn't seem to argue with her but once. And so he was very much under the influence of his mother. And what about that for her to want her second born? She was willing to do anything to make that happen. And so what does that say about Rebecca's values here? She overheard, she was listening, then she took the information and she created a plan and told Jacob what to do. Told him what to do. I guess he is a mama's boy. Good morning, Allison. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Linda Newman. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Kevin. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Jackie Chaka. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Good morning, Rhonda. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Lifting up prayers this morning for Rhonda Gillum's Aunt Ruth Hoover. Lord, in your mercy, we're lifting up Aunt Hoover, Aunt Ruth Hoover, who lives in Lexington, Lord, who's had a fall. Bring your comfort, Lord, to her. Wash over her with your love and your presence, and bring your healing powers. In your mercy, Lord, hear our prayers. Hear our prayers. Thank you for sharing that, Rhonda. Oh, another fall. Oh, that is the worst thing when older people take a fall like that. Lord, in your mercy, we're lifting up Esther Rochelle, who fell down her steps yesterday, Lord, and is in the hospital in ICU. Lord, give the doctors the wisdom they need. Please wash over her with your comfort and your blessings, Lord, and ease her pain, heal her bones. In your mercy, Lord, hear our prayers. Hear our prayers. Lord, in your mercy, we're lifting up Jack Evans, who lost his brother in the last couple of days, Lord. Give him some comfort during this pain and this loss and grief. Be with him. Let him feel your presence, Lord. In your mercy, hear our prayers. Looking for Janice Kelsey, good morning. I'm so glad you're here and praying for you. Let's see. Phyllis Mann lost her son 3 days ago, I think. So, Lord, in your mercy, to Phyllis Mann, we're lifting her up in the loss of her son. Lord, I know her heart is breaking. Comfort her, let her feel your love and presence, and give her some healing as she begins one step at a time in this grieving process. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayers. Hear our prayers. It is a one step at a time grieving process. It is. I know Kathy told me one day, I don't know, it was not a good day for me, and I was struggling, and she said to me, you cannot be anywhere but right now. I can't take the pain away from you. No one else can take the pain. You have to sit in it right now and be present in it and acknowledge it, understand it, and then you can take another step and another step and another step. You can't just block it out. You can't just wallow in it. You have to begin the process of the grief and where you may be pushing back on it, that why you're in that, I call it the hamster cycle, and but you can't be anywhere but there until you get ready to go to the next phase, the next step. But no one can do that hard work for you. And it's hard. It's hard work. Um, and that's when you have to cling to the pole. I call it cling to the pole so that nothing can pull you away. David was watching that movie, was it Tornado? Something. It was about that big tornado with Hunt in it. And they were, when that tornado was coming and they were running through the field, they went into some kind of a well shed or something. Anyway, there were pipes in there that went down 30 feet into the ground. And they knew that the shed wasn't going to make it, but they found strapping stuff. And they strapped themselves to these pipes that they knew went 30 feet into the ground. So they strapped themselves. So they strapped themselves to those pipes, and that wind blew so hard it lifted them off the ground, but they were strapped to those pipes that held. That's the kind of clinging you got to do to Jesus when you're in a loss or in a bad place. You got to cling to the pole, cling to it. Today, the John 15, 1 through 11 is where we're going to pick up today. I'm looking to see if there are any prayer concerns on YouTube. Good morning, Betty Dalton. I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're here. Courtney, I'm so glad you're here. If there are prayer concerns, put them in the chat box or the prayer box, as Betty Dalton has named it for us. And we will lift those people up in prayer this morning. Jackie, Chaka, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm going to start with chapter 15, 1 through 11. This is Jesus talking. It's about the vine and the branches. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit. Whichever branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be given even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, and you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. And apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be given to you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have obeyed my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. And that's where I'm going to stop. There was, in this very short 11 verses, the word branch was repeated over and over again. The word remain was repeated over and over and over again. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At least 7 times the word remain is in there. And fruit, over and over again, fruit is there. And when words are repeated like that over and over again in a piece of scripture, it means those are significant words because they've talked about them repeatedly in these verses. So when we look at this, it's very clear the analogy of the gardener, and the vine and the branches and what God is calling us to do. He wants us to remain in him, and his words remain in us. Prayers for Diana Hancock. She will have a hip replacement this morning. Lord, in your mercy, we lift up Diana Hancock. Be present at that table with her surgery. Guide her surgeons. Bring Diana a sense of comfort and peace and calm. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayers. Hear our prayers. When I read this, I've got this all just marked up in my Bible from previous reading, and that Jesus is saying here that he will never leave us. But he's very clear that if we separate from him and think we can do it on our own, our branches are going to wither and die, and you're just going to have to throw them away. They'll be thrown on a heap pile. But if you remain in him, here's that clinging again, clinging to the pole, even when you don't need him because something bad's going on, clinging to the pole. And this fruit, that he wants us to be fruitful. When a tree is fruitful, oh my gosh, it is so loved. Everybody enjoys it. The bounty is shared, and it's a great harvest. And so in the fruit, what is Jesus talking about here? Who is the fruit that he's talking about? And what does he mean by I am the vine? So these examples, or these metaphors, are examples that he is getting this culture, in this culture where grapes and vines, crops and harvest are essential, to understand about what he means by remaining in him and fruit. So if we don't stay in contact with the vine, which is Jesus, then we grow withered and not pliable, and really of no use to him. And he is talking about love here, and that he wants us to remember his love for us, and he wants his words to remain in us. And so what is the purpose of his words in us if we don't share his words? So the piece here about being fruitful is when you've got something really great, then you need to share it. You need to share it instead of hoarding it or holding it in like, I've got this great gift from God. I feel so close, but I'm not sharing it. I think God wants us to share the bounty. He calls it a harvest. But this section this morning was really very clear about the branches, the vines, and about staying connected. And that just doesn't mean to the main vine, but that we stay connected to each other as well. Because you may get fruit that I need in order to help me grow and nourish, so that I have fruit that I can share to somebody else. So all of us together connected to help us to find and understand ways to share the fruit. He did not put us here on this earth to just have a relationship with him and not be connected to others. And we are not just to take in, but we are to push out. We are to push out. And in little ways, but in ways that sets us apart from, in teaching, we call it the sit and get, where you just come sit and get, and then you get up and leave. And in the years I worked with teachers, and doing professional development or training, the most important thing was that I was going to never deliver a sit and get, where people showed up, sat down, I talked, and they left. No learning takes place that way. No learning takes place. The learning is only if you are engaged in it and we have some kind of dialogue about it. And it's harder virtually to do, but it can be done. But God doesn't want us to sit. He's going to prune the branches that are just sitting and not doing anything with it. He'll come snip them off because they're not producing fruit. You cannot produce fruit in a sit and get. Just show up on Sundays, sit and get, and leave. You can't make fruit that way. It doesn't multiply that way. The fruit is made in the relationships and the sharing and the connections and the caring, the love. That is what this is really about, is loving. And if you love a plant, you have to prune it back so that it grows better and grows more and produces more. And this is the analogy here, that he's going to prune it back and cut back the pieces that aren't working, not working for him. So we don't want to be pruned. We want to grow and multiply and be healthy and not get detached from the vine. Remain in him. So clinging to him, clinging to the pole, is how I call it. It's kind of a crude thing, but that's when I was going through a bad time. That was my analogy, is I had to cling to the pole, cling to it as tight as I could. And to know you can only be where you are. But something else, and I know it was in David's sermon Sunday, but we talk about what we focus our energy on. Are we going to focus our energy on what we cannot control? We can't do anything about it. Or are we going to focus our energy on what we can control or influence? And there's that circle of influence. In the middle is the stuff you can't control at all. So that's where we're supposed to not spend our energy and time. Notice it, but not spend our time and energy. Our circle of influence or circle of control is where we need to focus. And Jesus is not talking about being passive, sit and get. He's talking about, okay, well, share my words with people who you have some influence or control with, like in a group that you have influence there. Share it. Share the story. I'm looking for prayer concerns this morning. Were you grateful for the snow? Those of you that got snow, man, I was. It was a great topping off of the evening we had celebrating Christmas here. But after everybody left, and they had a tough time getting home from Pickens to Greenville. Whoa, there were pileups everywhere. They had a tough time. Took one of my sons 2.5 hours to get home, and it's supposed to take about 35. And the other one took like over an hour. They went different ways. Isn't that funny? They went different ways. But after they all left, I went for just a walk by myself in the snow. Oh, and it was just nobody else was out. Well, there were some cars, but it was just a God time of just the snowflakes coming down and just walking all by myself. It was just beautiful. I was so grateful. To have that moment in time to be able to do that. So, and then the snow was all gone the next day, but I wanted to share, that was a grateful time that I had. Just taking a walk by myself in the snow. It was great. It was nice, big wet flakes. I want to pray for my sister Sue, continues with her positive outlook. Um, she will have surgery on the 10th. Lord, in your mercy, keep my sister Sue positive and focused on what's ahead, and give her some peace and comfort, Lord, that she knows you are with her. In your mercy, Lord, hear our prayers. Hear our prayers. I've had a great Monday with you. A great Monday with you. Um, Share your love and gratitude with others today and help them see that you remain in Him and His words in you. Good morning, Aunt Judy. I'm so glad to see you. So glad. Good morning, Martha Chandler. I'm so glad that you are here. Oh, we did not do June Campbell and Tim Sullivan. Okay, let's lift those up. Lord, in your mercy, we want to lift up June Campbell and Tim Sullivan and Ben and Phyllis Mann. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayers. Share that love you have, Lord. Wash over them and let them feel your comfort and peace. In your mercy, Lord, hear our prayers. Hear our prayers. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow morning at 8:30 and share your love with others and continue to pray for these. And I have one. I don't want to share it out loud without permission, but I want to lift up a young man in prayer that is struggling with change in his life, Lord. In your mercy, I want to lift up this young man. Give him strength and courage, Lord. Let him cling to you, remain in you, Lord, through this struggle and difficult time. Give him the courage, Lord, each day to take a step forward. In your mercy, Lord, hear our prayers. Hear our prayers. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love you guys. I'll see you in the morning at 8:30. And thanks for the prayers, and continue to pray for these people today. I will see you in the morning. Bye. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Courtney, for being here. Thank you for that. Bye, Betty Dalton.